right, I think we are good to go. And this is going to be very interesting, seeing as how I don't have my glasses on, first of all, and they surely just snatched my contacts from me today because apparently I had the wrong contacts, which I told them that, but nobody ever listens to me. But apparently I don't listen either, which is why I'm sitting here doing this video tonight, okay? So we're just gonna push through because this literally, and that's the funny part because I was actually on the way earlier to go and do a follow-up exam as far as my contacts were concerned, and as I was going to do the follow-up as far as my contacts, it's like the Holy Spirit just at the most random times God will just start speaking to me, and all of these things started to get downloaded literally as I'm like trying to go and get the contacts, and something had already told me like they're probably going to want you to bring the old contacts, but I was like, no, I don't feel like that. They should have told me that. Got there and they're like, yeah, you need your old contacts. So I had to like leave and go back and get the other ones. So in the midst of me already kind of being disobedient because I knew what God was telling me to do, is when this little message got downloaded to me, and I was like, nah, I don't feel like telling these ladies that. And God was like, yeah, but somebody needs to hear this message. So here we are, and I still don't have the right contacts. Listen, welcome, wonderful ladies. I hope you all are having a fantastic Monday. If you are new to the group, new to, just even me doing a video or anything like that, I am Victoria Baxter. As you can see, I'm Coach V, the New Love Strategist with New Thing Life Coaching. I'm a certified life dating and relationship coach. I'm also an online dating consultant who is all about helping marriage-minded Christian women win at Kingdom Love, okay? So earlier today, I didn't get to do the, little hashtag Motivational Monday video, but I'm going to combine that. I'm just going to take that. I got a little quick little word. And I do want to explain, like, with this whole NHA, New Heart Academy, is that you've heard me talking about. But that's much later because the more important thing is this message that I knew I needed to deliver. As far as disobedience is concerned, let me put my phone on silent. So we're just going to combine all of that, all right? Veal, stick with me. You all know that I am pretty much an open book, right? And, of course, it's probably one of those things where from the professional standpoint, I probably should keep some things to myself. Of course, if I want to be effective as a coach, but at the end of the day, when I can admit my shortcomings, when I can admit my wrongdoings and certain things like that, then I feel like it can help me better do my job and better help women because sometimes I screw up. Like that's just what it is that's just what it is at the end of the day. But I know that God's got my back no matter what. And when I said yes to God, I couldn't say, yes, God, I will serve these women, but I have conditions. Well, yes, God, I'm going to do this as long as you do X, Y, Z. It was just saying, yes, God. And I love the fact that a lot of my clients and even just feedback from people, it always has to do with me being relatable and me being transparent. So I am not here to have a perfect platform. I'm not here to act like I have all the answers. Only thing I know how to do is be honest, be real, and just continue to be open because if that means any of my foolery, my foolishness, my debauchery, which probably doesn't even apply to this, if it can help one of you, I'm all for it. Like I said, I know that God's got me regardless, okay? So, I did a podcast a couple of months back, and it was called Your Bed Isn't Empty, and it was in the midst of the series The Past Isn't the Past. And, it was talking about how a lot of times, as single women, we want a man, we talk about, wanting a husband or wanting a relationship, whatever, but not even realizing that as we're complaining about going to bed empty, our beds really aren't empty. Like, we have the head husbands, we got the exes, like all of these things, even if it's metaphorically speaking, a lot of us are not going to bed empty. Like it's someone else who is already taking up space in our heart or even in our head. And when I did that podcast, I had to get honest, which I was not expecting to get honest. But of course, I pray before most things that I do. And I'm always kind of like, okay, Holy Spirit, have your way. Like, and a lot of you, you've heard me say that in prayers, especially, like my classes and trainings and things like that. But I'm like, hey, Holy Spirit, I have my notes, but decrease me, increase you, whatever it is that you want me to say, have at it. So sometimes he will literally take that invitation seriously and he'll have me talking about things that I really had no intentions on talking about. So when I ended up doing that podcast, I was very honest about some things. And there was a guy from my past who I was still connected to at that time. And I remember, like, even years before, he told me that there was a door with another man that I needed to shut. Because, me and this guy, like, yes, like I was kind of like romantically, involved with this guy. Like, we had feelings at one point, but he lived in a different state. So I was like, whatever. Like, I don't really care. Like, this is not going anywhere. So he knew about like all the men that I was, dating and dealing with here in Charleston. I was like, hey, so yeah, so there's this guy and blah, 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 blah. So he was letting me know, like, one particular guy, he was like, hey, he would always, call me baby. He was like, baby, that door needs to be closed. He was like, because right now you're showing this man that he can kind of come and go as he please. He can pop up to your house. Sometimes you still kiss him. You say it's not anything serious, but it's, he's not going away because you're allowing him to come and go. So I knew that he was right and I needed to shut that door. And I did, in fact, shut it, which it was funny because then God was kind of, letting me know, like, hey, you actually have a couple of doors that you need to shut. And I know that you're doing the work and you're praying. And yeah, I'm about to send, someone to you. But I need you to go ahead and work on closing these doors now. Before that man gets in your life, before he arrives, why don't you go ahead and handle business so you don't have to worry about tying up loose ends and trying to shut things once that man actually comes. Okay, God, you put the stars in the sky and you know them by name. Your ways are higher, your thoughts are higher. I'm going to listen to everything you're telling me to do. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, with that, it made me realize the guy that told me I needed to shut the other door, his door needed to be shut too. So I was like, hey, truth be told, like, this man, he has been my safety net for, Lord Jesus, almost 20 years now. This has been someone, it's like he's just been that person, I would kind of fall back on. We've made little jokes and comments before. It was like, hey, like, if we're still single by the end of like, why don't we just go ahead and get married? Let's just make it happen. Like, what's the worst that can happen at this point? We're both young, we're both healthy. You want to have children, I want to have more children. I'll give you some babies. Let's get married. We can make it happen and whatever. So it was always one of those things where he was there. I knew, again, push come to shove, like, maybe if I got tired one day, I would marry him. Again, if I was dating someone and this guy, somebody started to like annoy me or whatever else, or they said something I didn't like, I was calling my little safety net. So finally, I did let him know, like, hey, your door needs to shut too. And of course, he was not happy about that. But I was like, you need to go. Like, I want to meet someone. I want to get serious. You ain't it. So let's just go ahead and let that be a done deal. So I shut all the doors. Like, I went on a little rampage. You get a block. You get a block. Everybody gets blocked. Like, your door is shut. Never contact me again. That's just going to be that. It felt amazing. Literally, I want to say days later, I met him. It's like, just imagine, like, the rainbows just shine brighter, and it's like there's like some twinkling, and you hear like birds chirping. Like, let's just kind of throw that in for a little extra razzle dazzle. So I met this amazing man, and I thought it was very funny because literally right after I was obedient is when I ended up coming in contact with this man. So literally, I've said it before, and I've told people. I remember I told him, I told my best friend, I told a few people. When I met that man, it was truly a situation where, like, our very first night, like, we met at a little hole in the wall club or whatever. And I've always said, if I had met that man in like Vegas or something, or like if I didn't have children, that I had to worry about, like their opinion and getting acclimated to having, like a stepdaddy, I was like, I literally would have married him that night because I just knew it was something different about him. And even with me telling him that, he was like, yeah, he's like, I probably would have done the same thing. He's like, I would have been down for it. So it was just, so amazing. It was so beautiful, all of the other good stuff. Now, within a matter of time, I started to notice something was a little off. Nothing that really had me thinking, oh, he's married or he's, full of crap. Nothing like that. But I couldn't pick up exactly what it was. And like a little bit before meeting him and even kind of going into, the beginning parts of our relationship, I kind of went into a little depression. Like, I found myself very burdened. Like, something just felt heavy. I found myself crying a lot, sometimes even crying myself to sleep. And I was like, okay, like, what the heck is going on? And I remember, like, after the fact, it was like something that came up, kind of showing, like, you've been going through XYZ and not even realize, like, God is showing you, like, this is what he's going through and da 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 da. I'm like, well, surely that really can't be for me. Like, is that what the heck? Am I just, spiritual attack? What's going on here? Truth be told, or should I say eventually, the Holy Spirit did end up revealing to me what this man was going through and some of the things that he was battling. And there were times that I wanted to walk away because I was like, I can't do this. Like, it was almost like up and down, and it's like 1 minute it's like every time we would take 2 steps forward, it was like 3 steps back. Every time he talked about his future, it always included me, it always included my children, but you were okay talking about the future, but it was almost like the present was causing an issue for you. And like I said, there were times that I wanted to walk away, and I knew that he was a great God, but I was like, God, I just can't. That's like, God, I gotta go. But God was like, nah, I need you to stay put. I knew something was up, but what? I literally had no clue. And I recall crying myself to sleep one night because it's like literally like the burden of it. And it was almost like one of those things where it's like, I love him. What is going on? God, why did you bring this man into my life? Like, why do I have to deal with this? Why can't love just be simple? Like, why can't it just be easy? Like, what the heck is up? Like, I literally cried myself to sleep out of frustration because I knew it was something about him. I knew something truly was different, right? Like, and a lot of times we as women, oh, it's just something about him. It's like, yeah, it's just he's just like your ex, just in different clothes and different cologne. But I knew this man was special, like 100% special. I knew something was different. So literally cried myself to sleep that night. When I woke up the next morning, it was almost like loud as day. Holy Spirit clearly relayed to me and revealed to me what this man was enduring and what he was going through, and why there was like some rockiness, like why it was never truly stable as far as the relationship that we were building. And it was almost like when the Holy Spirit said, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes a lot of sense. And I found myself, like researching and trying to figure out, okay, well, how do they need to be loved? Like, how do I need to be there for him? All this other good stuff. And like I said, God had already told me what was going on before this man finally told me, hey, I owe you an explanation. This is what's been going on, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, boom. God's already told me, and that's just going to be that. Now, God kept telling me to pray for this man. He's like, I need you to pray for him. This is what he's going through right now. I need you to pray. He would show me clear. It's almost like I literally sometimes could like see this man in his place, and I just knew what his emotional state was at that point. And like y'all, we have to pray for these men like now. Like it doesn't start when you become a wife. But at the same time, it's like, and I knew that because I was spending time ministering to women and telling women that things were just moving a little too slow for me. Okay, I was just like, yeah, like I hear you, God, but come on, like let's speed up the process. Like, what are we doing here? Okay, like I don't really have time for this. So I would literally get frustrated. But of course, now when I think about Daniel, I think it's 10:13. That scripture makes so much sense to me. It talks about how, when Daniel was praying and when the angel finally came, it was like, hey, from the moment you started praying, I was already sent to come and help you. But there was an evil force that was interfering and stopping me. But the more Daniel kept on praying, it was like literally Daniel's prayers are what gave strength to the angel. Me, when things have not been moving fast enough, I have a habit of, I'll sometimes stop praying. Be like, okay, shift. Let's move this someplace else. And God had already shown me, like, you do that a lot. I'll show you something. I'll show you what's going on. You know the power of your prayers. And then you just stop praying. And I know that there have been times I literally stopped praying, probably like right before the breakthrough. And this is so bad for me to admit because I'm always telling everybody else, like, keep on praying. Patience has always been my problem. And of course, now, like, I'm glad this scripture has been coming back and God has had me in a place of like spiritual rest and obedience and realizing, like, hey, just because something doesn't work out as quickly as you want it, that doesn't mean drop that and then go pray over the next assignment. If you never pray long enough, you're not going to see anything take place. That was always my bad habit, even when it came to men. When things were not moving fast enough, I would leave. Even if I did not fully leave and walk away, I would just reopen a past door. Like I would like reopen another door or allow another connection to reform. Because of course in my mind, what we're not going to do is have me out here looking stupid. I'm not going to be waiting on someone I'm not even committed to or someone who's not committed to me. All this other stuff. So do it over here that God had already shown me. This is what he's going through. Pray. I was like, okay, but you know what? He was starting to work my nerves. My patience was It was not even thin. It was like non-existent. So what did I do? I went back to the little security blanket. I went back to my safety net. I went back and started confiding in the same man who God had already shown me in a dream that this man needed to be cut off. God had already shown me in a dream that my little safety net was the holdup. And until I actually cut him off, nothing was going to go the way it needed to go with me and this other man that he brought into my life. Now, we're also going to keep in mind, okay, God had already confirmed to me that this man was who he sent. I was having dreams. I could feel it. I would do the whole, I've spoken about this before, especially those of you who joined me for that discerning while interested little, like, Bible class. Showing me dreams the whole nine. I did the little confirmation prayer, like, Lord, I think you're showing me this man is going to be my husband. I feel like you've already shown me that 10 times. And please, I promise, if you will confirm this one more time, I will, leave it alone. I won't be impatient. I will wait. I went through all of that. And I remember, finally I was like, okay, I'm going to pick like a random word. If I see this word in the next 7 days, then God, I know what you are showing me. Well, overthinker here. I was overthinker. I couldn't even figure out what word to pick. So I ended up picking 3 words. And I was like, okay, God, if I see one of these words in the next 7 days, then I know that for the 10th time now, you are showing me to stay put and that this is where I need to be as far as me and this man is concerned. Bet. So within 24 hours, I'd already saw the first 2 words that were on that list. And I was like, God, surely this is not you. What is going on? Okay. I was like, all right, God, please don't be mad at me. Let me have a little, Gideon moment from Judges. Please give me another sign. Because I still didn't see the 3rd word. Later on that night, boom, here comes the 3rd word. So God was showing me time and time again. I'd already had the dreams and everything. And I remember even being led to Genesis 41:13, and it says, when you have 2 similar dreams, these events have already been decreed by God, and he will soon make them happen. Okay. But again, me, disobedient, impatient, all of that other good stuff. Listen, I've had a few times, that God told me to wait for someone, to wait for a man. I know a lot of times we get caught up in the one, but I've always said, like, no, there is typically there is not one specific person that you are supposed to be with. I always say, like, God can always raise up another. And like I said, my status from 2 years ago, when I saw that early, I was like, okay, God, I hear you. And I said, like, God doesn't make mistakes. People do. I don't know what made me make that status at that time, but funny, because when I made it, I was actually dealing with that amazing man at the time. So I knew that this man and I would have been perfect, for each other. I knew that he had it. He had what I needed. He had what I needed, and I needed what he had. I'm getting all tongue tied. I knew all of those things, and I still ruined it. Let me just go ahead and put that out there. Yes, okay. Coach V, the dating coach, I completely fumbled the bag. I fumbled an amazing bag. I don't try to put like price tags or quality tags, labels, none of that stuff. I fumbled an amazing bag. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. And I say all that to say we have to remember a lot of times as women that just because God shows you something, God can show you, like, hey, this is what I have for you. This is who I have for you. This is where I'm taking you. We still have a job to be obedient at the end of the day. And, I think about Moses. Like, even Moses got to lead them to the promised land, but his disobedience is what prohibited him from being able to even enter the same place that he was called to lead others. And that's something that stuck with me a lot, because of course, in my case, I'm like, okay, like, you've been leading a lot of women to where they want to be when it comes to love, but you didn't get to enter it for the longest time. So again, going back to little security blanket, I did not cut him off. I was disobedient. And even when it came to this other man, amazing man, I was over eager. I was overbearing. I was very impatient, even after promising God, hey, this is my last and final time. If you show me one last time that this is who you're trying to, connect me with, I will be patient. I will go at his own pace. But it was almost like as soon as God confirmed it, Little eager Ellen over here was like, you know, I just kind of went into like overdrive and whatever. Like, so needless to say, me and this man, like, we're over. Like, it ended badly. I think the last time we actually even had an argument. Um, what I know is that oftentimes we are tired of men who are moving too slow. We a lot of times get tired of men who are afraid to commit. And I remember at a point I was going through like something else in my life, and I had went up to the elders at the church and was, you know, asking them for prayer. It had nothing to do with a man. It had nothing to do with a relationship. None of those things. And I remember, you know, being annoyed with him and his fear and all this other good crap. And I remember like even the elders, like they were praying over my situation and praying over the kids and how God was going to come through. And then the man out of nowhere, he was like, Lord, just help this man to stand up, like remove this spirit of fear, God, and da 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 da. I was like, what man, dude? What are you talking about? This has nothing to do with what I came and told you and your wife I need prayers for. But he starts talking about this man and whatever else, and I'm like, what is going on? But God was like, I already told you he was dealing with fear. Like, fear is real. It consumes many men, and I don't think we understand that. Yes, it consumes women, but it's almost like we push through. It's almost like we'll keep on going, or a lot of times we respond from a place of fear. Like we allow our fear to consume us and control the way that we respond to things. At the end of the day, it really just boils down to the two genders handle things a little bit differently. We handle fear differently. And as God was downloading all of this stuff to me in my truck earlier, there were two scriptures that came to me because, of course, now I'm in like a new situation. And God is almost like, hey, you want to ruin it this time or not? Like, I know he's not quite saying it like that. I think a lot of times, like, we hear God talk in the way that we process things. But there were two scriptures that came to me. And of course, we know that Timothy talks about how perfect love casts out all fear. It says, perfect love casts out all fear. And I don't know why that scripture came to me, but then it's like right after that, he brought to me 1 Corinthians 13 on how love is patient and how love is kind and how love keeps no record of wrong, like all of those things. So it's like God was showing me even in that moment, yeah, even when it comes to relationships, even when it comes to love. And you know, a lot of times as women, we come across men who are fearful, you know, for whatever reason. And for us, it's like, I don't care how afraid you are. You should be afraid to lose me, dude. Like, what is your problem? Like, you should want all of this. You should not want to miss out on this. Like, get it together. Like, ain't enough fear in the world. But it's crazy. We can have all of our issues and whatever else, but we want them to just, like, throw their emotions in the wind. But then we talk about how men aren't emotional enough, how they're not sensitive enough. And then when they are actually revealing their emotions to us, we don't really quite understand it. And God needed me to see, like, hey, even when someone is dealing with fear, you can love them in a way that it can end up easing their fear. Many of us are not patient with men. And a lot of times it's because of our emotional drivers. Like, a lot of times there are some men, there are some good men who end up doing what? We see them eventually picking the woman who was there, the woman who stood there by their side, the one who was patient, the one who was understanding, the one that did not rush them, you know, the one who did not give no ultimatum, no ulterior motives, the one who wasn't, you know, being sassy and nagging and complaining and doing the most. No, I am not saying sit there and wait for a man who is just dragging his feet, who is doing the most, who is stringing you along. This is why you have to have boundaries. So no, we're not playing that game. Remember, level up. That's what we're doing right now with the Ascend 21 Self-Day Self-Love Challenge. So I'm not talking about that because we're not dealing with men who are expecting like a boatload of benefits with no commitment. Like, excuse my language, hell no. Like, yes, I said it. Hell no, we're not doing that. That's not what I'm talking about. But watch what happens when your love can literally ease his fear. I've said it a million times before. I know a lot of times we think that a lot of men or your average man has a fear of commitment. They don't. What they fear is committing to the wrong woman. They are fearful of making another bad decision. the same way that we are with a lot of stuff. Like a lot of us were like, okay, like I don't want to, do XYZ, da 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 da. A lot of these men are the same way. Like we focus on and we talk about our pain and our past and our brokenness and how we went through false alarms and how we don't want to get played no more. These men have endured a lot of this too at the end of the day. And we don't think about that. But your love displayed through patience, it can literally lead to the both of you, both you and him, getting everything that ultimately both of you want anyway. And that's something I'm keeping in mind now because I feel like I have failed a lot of tests over the years. And God is like, hey, you ready for another one? I'm like, no, but I already know you're going to bring it to me. So hopefully I can get it together this time. And I knew that this lesson right here, even if nobody else gets something, and I know that somebody will because I know I was led to speak on it for a reason. Even if only one of you takes something from this, that I knew I did my part. But even if not, like I knew that it was also for me because again, I'm now in another situation and I'm just like, I'm just gonna sit still because I'm sick of this at this point. Like I cannot keep going through this. Okay, we got to work on our emotions, ladies. Like we just finished the emotional stability segment of Ascend 21, but I realized that we fail to realize how our emotions can disrupt our love lives. Like seriously, do not, do not let your emotional drivers drive a good man away. Like literally, my playing it cool crash course, that is like what it's all about. Like our emotional drivers. Like we're driven by this, and whether it's our need for belonging or for newness or for achievement or stability, that is what drives us, and we'll find ourselves being literally like so driven by it that we become anxious in these dating ships and the early stages of relationships, and we do the most. Like I posted about it early in the group. Like me and dude, like we just had our little like it truly was like a minor little stupid disagreement. I overreacted a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Um, if I can I pull out the PMS card on that one from last weekend or whatever? But it was not like that, and like I couldn't really sleep. I was like, oh my god, like are we over? Like what is going to happen? Like oh my god, did you just ruin something else? Like what is? Like I kind of went into panic mode, but I was like, pray and take your behind to sleep. Let that be that. Next day I was like, hey, da 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 da. Like can we talk about all? He's like, no, there's no quarrel. There's nothing for us to talk about. He's like, just chill. Like don't no overthinking, no overreacting. He's like, I love you. We are good. He's like, you have nothing to worry about. So I almost allowed my emotions to take me there all over again. And of course, me, knowing and realizing now that emotional instability is oftentimes it's due to our heart issues. And I have been honest and I've admitted before, I have missed out on a few good men due to my emotional instability and due to my heart issues. Like I don't know why God has me like revealing so much to y'all lately, but I'm just like, God, can I keep some of this stuff to myself? But maybe because I don't want any of you all to make the same mistakes. I don't want you all to miss out the way that I have, but I've missed out on great men because of emotional instability and because of heart issues. And things ended badly because of me and that other guy. But he had confided in me. Like I was his safe space. There were things that he had like that I knew that he had not told anyone. And I remember even like talking to his sister one day. I was like, look, does your brother come with an instruction manual? Because this is getting to be a bit much. And she was like, look, like I know all about you. She's like, I didn't know that y'all were, involved and he really cares about you. And, this is some of the stuff that he's going through. And I was like, well, yeah, he's been, kind of letting me know, da 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 da. And she's like, wow, like, she's like, Vicky, the fact that he's even telling you some of those things is big. He does not talk about that stuff. So I became his safe space. But then it's like, I betrayed him. Like, I used some of those things against him in arguments because I was impatient. I would sometimes use those things as a form of, I don't know if I would say maybe reverse manipulation. I would kind of bring it up and I had ulterior motives. There were reasons on why I was bringing some of those things up and trying to use it against him. I don't know. But I think I was annoyed. I was frustrated because I couldn't figure out why God would just dangle the good thing in my face. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like he was just kind of, and we know that God doesn't operate that way, but it felt like God was just kind of like dangling and teasing and then taking it away. It's like, why couldn't I have him then? Like, why are we doing this? Like, God, why can't you just fix him and cure him of his issues so that we can be together. And I was telling God literally, like, you're always getting on my ear, like you're always telling me all of these things and what he's going through, and I got stuff going on too. I was like, God, why don't you talk to him? Why don't you let him know what I'm going through and how you need him to step up and be the man for me? And God was like, first of all, who do you think you are? Second of all, because he can't hear me. I'm like, then why did you send me someone who can't hear you? But I had to get, like, I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna go cry to him, God, but I'm gonna cry to you. And I was like, God, like, I'm sick of being the strong one. I'm sick of being the praying one. I'm sick of the one who's like always having to cover other people. Like, I made everything about me. I really did. And for years, God was showing me that I'm selfish. And I was like, well, that hurt. Like, why would you say that, God? Like, I thought we were cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, I am all about, the way I want to decorate and the way I want to cook and what we're going to have for dinner and my side of the bed and da 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 da. And God was like, you still don't get it. Because you have to understand that this little kingdom love that you always talk about, it's selfless. And you are selfish. Everything points back to you. How it affects your day, how it affects your mood, the way that you want things to go. And why can't anyone do this for you and realize that and blah, 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 blah. And God was showing me, like, hey, this is the one thing that I need you to correct now. He kept on showing me, like, that was the one thing that needed to be rectified before he would cause things to shift in my love life. And in that webinar, that I did, the 7 strategies to kingdom love and renewing your mind and everything like that, I mentioned how my impatience is why I couldn't have and get who I wanted years ago when God had already shown me then. Like, at one point, stay right here. Stay put. Yep, I know he's going through some things, but you just be there and keep focusing on me and pray for him and just be a friend. But I'm working all of this out. And I was like, okay, cool. God is telling me turn here. I'm like, okay, cool. But no, not me. Not little impatient person. Not little disobedient Diana. And again, because of my disobedience and wrong turns, yo. The one thing I do love is Joel 2:25, where it talks about how he will restore us. He will restore unto us like the years and the things that were taken from us, whether it was from others, and yet even some of the things that were our own faults. The thing is, my wrong turn and my impatience and my disobedience caused me to walk away from the first person that he was showing me, like before the other man who had me crying and whatever else. This was even before him. God was showing me this other man. And during that time, we've both, that time even apart, like we've both encountered some things over the years, because it's like after I walked away from dude 8 years ago, I was like, that's taking too long. Maybe God really didn't show me him. So that's when I, was having sex with other people. And of course, that's when I ended up meeting the person who I was talking about at the beginning of this video, and just, different people and whatever else. I was like, oh, let's try it here and try it there and whatever else. And it's like a lot of those things just took more and more away from me and left me a little bit more depleted. And of course, the man that God was showing me, like, hey, turn here and just stay put for a little while and let me work this whole thing out, I walked away. And through the years, we both have gone through some things that have made this transition that we are, now transitioning into this, new romantic relationship. It's made some things not as smoothly, at least as I would like them to be, as I know it could have been. I know it could have been a lot smoother had I done my part. I'm just going to go ahead and take that. Yeah, I do still have those moments where it's like, God, like, what? Why don't you talk to the men? Like, I just, sometimes I'm like, God, why are you chastising me? Like, why are you coming down so hard on me? I don't understand. But I knew that things could be better for us right now that we're, again, going into the romantic aspect of it, had I done my part. Because I'm not putting anything on him. Yeah, he's the man, 100%. But I know what God told me. I know what God told Victoria Baxter, okay? And of course, as I talk about a lot, the Ezer Kenegdo, like, we have to understand that is why Eve was created. We have to understand what helpmate really is all about. And our job is to cover them spiritually. Yes, even before being a wife, do you pray? Can you cover a man? Can you show that you are a good thing and that you have the qualities of being a godly wife? It does not happen overnight. Your actual status might change overnight. Like, yeah, once you sign that, marriage certificate, yeah, you become a wife overnight, you take those vows, all of that changes. But the mindset shift and the renewal happens now, like before you actually become a wife. And I know that for me, that's what God was showing me, like, hey, there are some things I need you to work on now. And I know that even the women, the small group of women that He has entrusted me with, whether you're just in this group just to glean and you've been following the ministry, those who, would come out to the small group, those who have done group coachings, those who have joined programs, those who I've worked one on one with, I know that His whole thing is, hey, there's a group of women who I have entrusted to you, and I need you to not only lead them and serve them and teach them, but do it well. And we just have to understand that we are set apart. Like, there are just certain things that God is going to do in our marriages, and we can't do things the way that other people do things. Do we can't like do the whole wife thing the way that others are doing the whole wife thing. We literally, like Romans 12 too, like we cannot conform to what the rest of the world is doing. I know culture is doing this, but God is like, nah, I need you to renew your mind. And that's just what it all boils down to. Like, y'all have heard me talking about enrollment being open for NHA, like for New Heart Academy. I know I have not been like 100% clear on it, at least not here in the group, but most of you like who joined the webinar, y'all get all the information first, really out of everything. I haven't really been clear on what it is and how it works, and is this just the new love language revamped? No, I've done a lot of things over the years. I've done the sex course, I've done the dating classes, I've done healing courses. I've talked about preparation, all of those things. New Heart Academy is ultimately, it's like a 3-month, 12-sector academy for women who can't win because there are still heart issues. And even when God was kind of downloading this academy to me over the past couple of months, and it's why I've been a little bit quiet in the group, especially those who are active in the group, you've noticed that I've been kind of like maybe not posting as much or, or whatever else, and not really consistent with some of the other things. God had me in that place of rest, first of all, and I've just been allowing Him to download all of these things to me, even as far as this program is concerned. So I'm like, okay, what are you wanting me to do? Like, I've already been doing all of these things, but it was Him showing me, like, this is a little bit different. And when Ezekiel 36 came to me, I was like, okay, now it's really making sense. And where Ezekiel 36:26, God is saying, like, I'm going to give you a new heart. I'm going to remove the stony, stubborn heart. I'm going to give you a tender, responsive heart. Like, there are so many scriptures in the Bible about the heart. Like, above all else, guard your heart. I, the Lord, I search the heart. I give each person what it is they deserve. Do not trust the heart. Like, the heart is fickle. It is like the most deceitful of all things. And I've realized that, yeah, a lot of women are doing great with some of the things that I've put out there. And it's been working well for them in many different areas. You can learn how to date. You can learn His love language. You can learn, how to communicate, and the 4 R's of healing and the 6 C's of communication, the whole 9. You can learn how to play it cool. You can create the bomb profile, choose a good site, give it TIME, everything else I've taught. There are some women who are still not winning because of their heart issues. And so it was time for us, and I say us, but I'm like, okay, God, what else am I supposed to put in here? What am I supposed to do? Because at first, I was initially confused on what I was supposed to be doing. So it's like, okay, what are we supposed to put in here? So I wanted us to create something that could give all the tools, all the tips, all the strategies in one, like the one-stop shop. Because from day one, it's all about working on your heart. My impatience and my disobedience were heart issues. I know for a fact, I've said it before, I could have been married by now. I am not, because of disobedience, because of impatience, because of heart issues. I couldn't win at love myself because I was stubborn. I had a stony heart, and I thought that I was above the help that I was giving other women. Yet they were winning. I've had women who have rebuilt their dating lives. I've had women who are in committed relationships, women, clients who are engaged, clients who are married, clients who are expecting children, the whole nine. And I was sitting there still single because of my stony heart. It was hard to hear God relay that to me, but it was the absolute truth at the end of the day. And New Heart Academy combines the strategies to help women get a new heart, literally. Because again, it's the most deceitful of all things. It says it is desperately wicked, it's fickle. So it's going to help with a renewed heart, also with intentional dating skills, how to do more than date, but to date intentionally. Getting and keeping the attention of what I always call like attracting the MVPs, like the most valuable potentials. Because our marriages, again, they're going to be set up different. Like God is not, well, He does not want us to connect with any old body. Now, sometimes He will allow it because I've connected with a lot of little, any old bodies. But again, my disobedience. So sometimes He's going to let you kind of go off and, He'll reel it back in, but sometimes He'll let you kind of go and get your face cracked a little bit. But we are supposed to form like different kind of connections. And I knew that in this academy, I also, I'm talking about women learning how to date from day one, learning how to love him from day one. And it's like, we make everything about, oh, you got to earn my heart. Yeah, I didn't say give him your heart. The Bible still says, guard your heart. But at the same time, like, we're supposed to love. And yeah, there is a way that from the very first day that you meet that man, it's like, hey, I'm choosing to love him on this day. I didn't say fall in love. I didn't say go plan a wedding. None of those things. But how to communicate better, how to be selfless. Again, how to attract what you want, how to show without proving or auditioning your worth, how to pace yourself, how to be loved, receive love, win at love, the whole nine. Live class for about 90 minutes every single week with the workbook and the exercises, many different things. And no, this is not the same as New Love Language. I know many of you joined for the rounds that we've done of that. New Love Language is like, that's like the 12-step prep program. Like, that's for the women who, yeah, she's made some bad decisions and she isn't, maybe she's not quite ready, or she might be, but really wants to work on specific things that can help her be a better wife someday. Like looking at a lot of the reasons on like why marriages end and why divorces take place. That's what New Love Language is about. New Heart Academy is like, no, I'm ready to transform and do the work because I'm ready for my good thing now. New Love Language, not quite ready. I can admit I got to get some things in order. New Heart Academy, where he at though? I'm ready to get out of my own way. Where's my man? That's just pretty much what's going on as far as that is concerned. Something I said earlier of day 5 of the self-love challenge. Either way, just take the time to reflect and look at your heart. We make a lot of things again about men today and dating today, and we just are so sold on the fact that we're just such an amazing woman. Like, I no longer have sex, I no longer use profanity, I'm an amazing mom, I've secured the bag, I got my house, all these other good things. That's cool. You can still have a heart issue. You can still take the time and just kind of figure out, like, hey, God, reveal me to me, create me a clean heart, show me my heart. What are the things that are displeasing to you? How am I getting in my own way? How am I being disobedient? How am I being impatient? How am I sabotaging many of these things? Is it anything that I was supposed to be doing that I have not done? Reflecting on how you treat people, how you treat others, like all of those different things. And I just feel like we would get further along if we would take the time to really examine our hearts at the end of the day. So that's what I popped in here to say. I hope that it, even if it's just one thing that touches on you somehow to maybe cause you to reflect and kind of dig a little bit deeper. I don't know. Like I said, some of these things are just getting more like harder for me to talk about. But I'm like, God, like, please, like, I know I said yes, but stop using me to talk about all of these different things. But it's causing me to get more vulnerable and, and open. And I mean, I'm all for that. That's cool. That's fine. Especially if it's going to help somebody. So don't ruin it. That's all I want to say. Don't sabotage anything because of disobedience. Let's learn to be patient when God tells us to do something, whatever it is, at the end of the day. I love Isaiah 60:22 because it says, like, hey, at the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen. And I feel like, when it comes to time, the way that we see time is not the way that God sees time. Like, we make things about, like, literally time. That's just not how God, He doesn't operate that. He's more so looking at readiness, opportunity, and and thinking about like generations and how others are going to be affected. It's not so much the way that we see time, if that makes sense. So I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, like, when is it going to be my time, and when is it going to be my turn? And I don't know. Maybe take some time and just make sure that you're ready for what it is you're wanting, and that you're prepared for what it is you are praying for. And that's all I have to say about that. I made it through. I did good. Okay. If you are interested in the New Heart Academy, all the details and even testimonies of some of my clients, you will find them on the page. You can learn more, sign up, whatever, at newthinglifecoaching.com /NHA. Newthinglifecoaching.com /NHA. And that's that. That's all I gotta say. I'm going to eat my dinner. I will go back through the comments after I put my glasses on because I can't see right now. I literally took them off because the lights were just too bright. And like I said earlier, the contact thing was not working out. I can't see a daggone thing. So I literally had some of my notes like blown all the way up. I'm not even about to have y'all watching me try to squint. I really am blind for real. Um, but I'll look back through them, all right? Oh, and again, my apologies for those of you who are in Ascend 21. I was told that something happened with the day 5 video. So I'm actually in the process of also editing that right now. I don't know what happened with the Zoom cutoff. Some people even missed the challenge. So I will get that fixed very, very shortly. And then I'm going to re-edit the video. I will upload it to the YouTube channel. And then I will re-email everyone the links as far as that is concerned. So again, I don't know what's going on. Like, for me, it's showing that the whole 20-something video, 20-minute video was like good to go. But my apologies. I promise you I will fix that. And I will make sure y'all get it. And everything will be good to go. And that'll be that. All right? So that's that. Listen, God bless y'all. I love you all. I pray that you all have a fantastic Monday. And I will talk to you lovely, beautiful ladies later. Be blessed. Bye.